Hey, welcome. So what we're going to be talking about today is we're still talking about homeschooling Olympians, but I have two people that I wanted to address things that they said specifically. The first one is one of the new homeschooling Olympians watched our 3 stages of homeschool masterclass, and she wrote back to me, Becky, this is earth shattering. It's earth shattering because it broke all of her preconceived ideas of what homeschooling should look like, should smell like, should feel like. And she's so excited to jump into just the love of learning and the flourishing side of homeschool. So we're going to talk about that, but we're also going to talk about an email that I received this morning from a future homeschooling Olympian. Hopefully, they are able to join us inside, where she shared with me a complete brain dump after our initial phone call, where I revealed to her some things about homeschooling Olympians. She wrote me a lot of words that ended with, wow, this is a big step and it's intimidating. So let me go ahead and share my screen, and that way we can actually get started. Let me go like this and let me get to the right tab. Okay, so I wanted to talk to you about these few things that are just super important. This earth-shattering revelation of what it means to actually be able to see which stage your kids are in, and the feeling of being off balance when you try something new. Before I go further, make sure that you hop on the wait list for Homeschooling Olympians, because we're about to open up in a very few short days. The 3 stages of homeschool masterclass is what my friend Hannah shared about. And she said, Becky, this is earth shattering. And she said it's earth shattering because it's not what you hear about when you do your research about homeschool. It's everybody is so curriculum focused and grade level focused that they forget to look at the actual stages of the just development and recognize that, wow, it really is not about curriculum. And it's earth shattering because our children are being raised in a world where they have access to supercomputers at their fingertips, which means that if you hand them curriculum, lessons, or things to do that they don't have personal connection to, they completely lose interest. They lose interest because they can see that, wow, if you just give me access to the internet and I can find out the answers to those fill in the blank things. Instead, they want to be intrigued. They want to seek to satisfy their curiosity, and they want to do stuff with their hands. So it's earth shattering to actually look at your kids and go, oh, they don't need curriculum, they need experience. They need to see, touch, feel, smell, etc. And they need to read a lot of books and see a lot of things, and I need to observe them to see which things cause them to lean in closer so that I can wrap academics around those things. Earth shattering. If you haven't taken the 3 stages, I'll tell you how to take it by the end of this one. The rest of this time, I wanted to talk about this one mom's fears. And the reason that she wrote me this big email because we had spent over an hour on the phone just talking about the stages of homeschool and homeschooling Olympians and what it means to lean into something that your kids are interested in. I actually felt inspired while I was talking to her, and we designed some possible lessons to wrap around something that she would love to go over with her kids. And so this email is basically saying, wow, I've watched your video twice. I've talked with this back and forth with my husband, but I'm overwhelmed. Stepping into a completely different way to do school is very intimidating. And I wanted to address that because it's intimidating because she hasn't shifted her focus yet. So we're going to get into that. It can be awkward to do something that you've never done before. This is one of our kids, Isaac, and he is doing a funky dance because we don't do birthday cards. We do funny birthday competitions in our house. And so he did a funky, awkward dance. But that's what it feels like. It's overwhelming when you step into something new if you don't shift your eyes and identify the actual goal. In this case, she's looking through teaching through the lens of curriculum and to-do lists and how do you assess them and will they still be independent? Do I need to be involved? So she's looking at it through all the nitty-gritty things of homeschool. And when you think about, well, how do I do all of this and do this wonderful free thing? It can be super scary. So I want you to imagine for a second that your kids, not even imagine, just embrace the fact that there's no way that you can teach everything that your kids could possibly learn. In this day and age, imagine a piece of granite where it's covered in speckles. That would represent everything that your children could learn in life. And you can see that there is no way that you can touch every single one of those specks on the counter. There's just no way. There's no time in the day. You don't have the energy. You don't have the money to get all the different curriculum and resources that they need. So instead, look at it through this lens. I'm a great cook, but I've never made duck, right? And yet I remember being a young wife and I only knew how to make spaghetti and Thanksgiving dinner. I know it's weird, but those were my two gifts. Oh, I could make eggs. So I could make spaghetti and I could do Thanksgiving, but I had no idea how to cook every Tuesday for the rest of my life. And I remember this one week getting totally inspired that I was going to be a great cook. So I found 7 recipes and I went to the store and I bought all of the spices, all of the ingredients, all of the things to make those 7 recipes for my husband. And at the time we had 1 child, so he was about 3. Every single one of those 7 recipes was met with, I don't like it, by myself, by my husband, and by our son. And I sat there frustrated because I had spent our entire food budget for the week on things that my family wouldn't eat. And I felt like a failure. And instead, I remember after that, standing in the kitchen, I can still picture that tiny little kitchen, standing in the kitchen. And I said, you know what? I did this wrong. I should not have jumped in and grabbed all the stuff and tried to do all the things differently. From now on, once a month, for the rest of my life, I'm going to look for a recipe that looks good, that I've validated the ingredients through what I think my family would enjoy, and I'm going to perfect 1 new recipe a month. Well, that was 30 years ago or 27 years ago. I learned how to cook since then. And actually, so much so that when we go out to eat, a lot of times we'll be sitting there as a family and we'll think, wow, oh, this would have been better if we just ate at home because the recipes are so good. But I've never made duck. But I can tell you 100%, my life is no less rich and I am no worse of a cook because I've never made duck. But I could learn how to cook a duck because I know now that if I find the right recipe and I get the right tutor and I take the time to practice, I will actually learn to make duck. Your kids are gonna miss stuff, but it's not about what they learn. It's about how they learn. Where do they find the information? Which different ways? The more ways that you touch a subject through different lenses and different angles, the deeper your learning is going to be. So if I were learning about duck, I would be learning about farm-fed foods and herbs and spices and marinades and all those different things before I actually tried to put this meal together. Well, with homeschooling, you're going to be doing the same kind of thing. You're going to take something that your kids love or are interested in, or you're interested in, and you're going to find ways to connect it to different things, life skills, math, memory versus copy work, handwriting, reading, movies, music, all those things. And that the knowledge of whatever that thing is just going to get richer. It'll be more savory. Now, your kids are still going to be weird and odd and wonderful. There's just no way around it because they're going to have the ability to lean in and to become the best version of themselves. And they're going to pick up the skills of how you get better at things. So important. It's why when we made Homeschooling Olympians, we specifically made There's three aspects to it. There's a coaching piece, a community piece, and it starts with this master class that's dripped out to you 6 weeks, one thing or one topic over a course of 6 weeks, because you would cheat, because I would cheat. You would binge the class because I would binge the class, and you would miss stuff. So it's by design meant to walk you through the process and set your brain free before you jump in to this new way of teaching, if it's foreign to you. It goes through the stages of homeschool so that you can clearly look at your family and see where your kids are, because you approach the launching stage of learning very differently than you do in the flourishing and fun stage. It identifies and gives light to the fact that fear and anxiety and overwhelm are common, and that we all go through those things, and that the reasons behind why you're afraid. Then it goes into building your master homeschool goals, because if you look at homeschool through the lens of what are the 12,000 things my kids need to learn, like the granite, you'll get overwhelmed and frustrated. Versus if you look through the lens of one of our master homeschool goals is that our kids will become excellent communicators. So if anytime I pick up a learning activity or a book or a curriculum or a movie, I can look at it through the lens of, is this going to help raise those kids to be excellent communicators? And if so, great. If not, then I need to look at it and I need to think through, is this going to add value into the child's life? Is this going to bring us closer together? What can I pull out of this that will become gold inside of their homeschool toolkit? So these master homeschool goals take time. And so there's a whole week dedicated to establishing your master homeschool goals. And then we're ready to start diving into the nitty gritty. We can talk about secret sauce and how you can take a project and plan it out so that your kids not only are learning, but they're learning all of their academics wrapped around something that they're interested in. It's magic. And then we wrap up with just character training and the heart of homeschooling and relationships and all of that very, very, very important stuff. So I'm going to encourage you to take a step back and to think about, well, what's your dream? When you think about homeschool, what is your dream? Is your ultimate goal just to graduate your kids, to check off all the grade level boxes? Okay, we've been there, done that. Although, it's a big deal. So what? All 5 of our kids graduated high school. All 5 of our kids have at least an associate's degree, if not a bachelor's degree. So what? It worked out because that was part of their master plan in their launching season. When they looked through what it is they wanted to be when they grew up, those things were an important step to help them get where they needed to go. But ultimately, we concentrated on our master homeschool goals. We shared our faith with our kids as often and daily as possible. We made sure they knew their math facts inside and out, the basic stuff that they were going to need. We marinated them in literature, and we concentrated on helping them become excellent communicators, both on paper and orally. Now, am I telling you that you need to toss out curriculum? Not necessarily. You would look at your child and look at their goals and look at your family culture, and you will decide what the best fit, what tools you're going to use to educate your kids, but you're going to use the filter of your master homeschool goals rather than peer pressure from society or things that are ingrained in your head. You look at your child at 8 and you think 3rd grade. You look at your 12-year-old and you think 5th grade, 6th grade. Instead, you're going to look at your child and you're going to ask, do they already know how to read? Do they already know their basic numbers? Okay, how can I help them fall in love with learning? So sometimes that will mean that you use curriculum, like stuff that you buy. And sometimes it'll mean you're just out with your boots in society, digging under trees and looking for mushrooms and hunting for treasures on the seashore and the like. So it will really depend on what it is that you want to do as far as what your master's goals are. I'm going to encourage you to let your mind be stretched. Look at your family. Take the next few days and look at your family and assess, do I have goals? By the time my kids graduate high school, by the time our kids graduate high school, what is it that we want them to do? What is it that we want them to be? When you have that answer, now look to see if what you're doing is going to get you there, because curriculum-based training almost never actually helps you get to those goals. Instead, you have to know that the things that you're doing are going to help you get there. I have my husband to thank for that kind of a mindset, because he's very, very goal-oriented. And without that kind of a goal, you can't decide whether or not you're on the right track. If you like the way that you're headed, great. And if we can do anything to help you, please reach out, abetterwaytohomeschool@gmail.com. We would love to help you if you get stuck anywhere. But if you look at your family and you look at your goals, or you think, what goals? We don't have any goals. We're just doing the next thing. If you find yourself in need of help, then I'm going to encourage you to do three things. Number one, jump on the wait list so that when Homeschooling Olympians opens, you get dibs on getting in there first. I'm going to encourage you to join me over the next few days. I'm going live inside of our private Facebook group. So Facebook, and then look up Homeschooling Olympians and then request to join, and we'll let you in. And then I'm going to encourage you, if you have not already taken the 3 stages of homeschool masterclass, this is the one that my friend Hannah said was earth shattering, because it helped just burst the curriculum bubble and bring to light teaching to the heart of your child. And the way that you find it is you go to homeschoolingolympians.com. You scroll down the page until you see my husband and I, and you click on that grab our free class, and then it just gives you all the information that you need. So that's it for today. I just wanted to come and encourage you that when you step outside of what you've been doing, it can feel awkward, and it can feel, it can be completely overwhelming. It's why we're designed to have community, why we're designed to seek help from people that have gone a little bit further down the road than us. And I'm going to encourage you that anytime you're looking for assistance, look for somebody that's at least a few steps further down the road than you, but then inspect the fruit on their tree. Do you like the way they live their life? Do you like the way that they speak about the things that they do? Can you look inside and see any fruit in their relationships with each other, with their children, etc.? With homeschool specifically, you're looking for joy. You're looking for kids that are thriving, but outside of the norm, right? Because homeschool done right embraces the individual child and gives them exactly what they need in order to thrive. So be a professional fruit inspector. And I hope to see you inside the 3 stages of Homeschool Masterclass, and I hope to see you inside our Facebook group and someday soon inside Homeschooling Olympians.